right, however, 7.4 day 2 notes. We're going to start with things that we did yesterday, and we're going to go ahead and verify if they are inversing or not. So f of x is 2x plus 5, and g of x is x minus 5 over 2. Now, some of you get pretty good at these, where you can look at it and you can determine it, but now we're going to test f of g of x, and we test g of f of x. So, looking at f of g of x, we start here, 2 times something plus 5, well, that something is minus g of x. So, x minus 5 over 2. When we simplify that, oh, look at that, my 2's are gone, so x minus 5 plus 5 is x. Over here, g of f of x, well, I have x, so something minus 5 over r over 2, and that something is 2x plus 5. So 5 minus 5 is 0, so I'm left with 2x over 2, which is just x. So yes, those two are inverses. Alright, now let's try another one before we get into our graphs. So we have, let's say f of x is the square root of x minus 6, and g of x is x squared minus 6. Alright, so let's split these up a little here. So f of g of x, well, f of x says the square root of something minus 6, and that something is x squared minus 6. So I have the square root of x squared, negative 6 minus 6 is minus 12. Alright, I'm going to hold off there because we're kind of stuck. But let's do the other one to verify. So g of f of x. Alright, slap it up. Alright, and we're left with something squared minus 6. Well, that something is the square root of x minus 6. Well, square root leaves me with x minus 6. I have the minus 6 out here, so I have x minus 12. And so in this case, no, they are not inverses. Alright, good. Now, the reason I gave this worksheet is because I want to take a look at the graphs. And it says, graph the function and its inverse. Now, we're going to start with just this. We're going to graph it and find its inverse, and then also graph it. Alright, so let's start with 1 times x, make it a little smaller here, minus 2. So my y-intercept is negative 2, and from there I'm going to go up 1 over 2. So just graph it in one equation. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, so on and so forth. Down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Alright, and let's graph our line here. And that's our first line. Now, let's go find the numbers. So, we have y equals 1 half x minus 2. So, x equals 1 half y minus 2. We would add 2. And then multiply by 2. Now, when you multiply by 2, you got to take it to both. So, I have y equals 2x plus 4. So, in this case, my y-intercept is 4, and I'm going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And there's my inverse function. Alright, and that kind of makes sense then, because remember, y equals x is my line, and that's how they cross, because if you think about it, they cross my reflection line. Alright, so it makes sense. So that looks good. Now, both of those are considered functions, which always isn't going to be the case. And we'll see in a minute. Alright, so f of x equals x squared plus 2. Alright, well, x squared plus 2, and we know it has a vertex at 0, 2. Alright, and then we can plot from there. But if you don't remember our vertex form, we always have our trusty tool, our calculator here, to help us out. Alright, so we have it's called x squared plus 2, and we're going to graph that, and it looks like that. So let's go find some of the points. So second graph on the table, we should all be familiar with this. Now 0, 2, negative 1, 3, 1, 3. I like that. 0, 2, negative 1, 3, 1, 3. I had 2, 6, and negative 2, 6. So that's a good graph right there. Now, the inverse of this, let's take a look at that. Alright, so I have y equals x squared plus 2. So x equals y squared plus 2. So subtract 2. Square both sides. So I get y equals plus or minus the square root of x minus 2. And so in my calculator, I go to my y equals, in y1 I'm going to put second square root of x minus 2. And then in y2 I'm going to put negative second square root times x minus 2. And I'm going to graph that. Alright, and there's one nice graph there. If you go to my table, there's a lot of arrows because we have 2. We have 2 zeros in here, and then there's some nice points that come up down here. Okay? So we're going to use these ones here. 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 1, 3, negative 1, 6, 2, and 6, negative 2. So those are some good ones there. So 2, 0, 3, 1, 3, negative 1, 6, 2, 6, negative 2. Alright, now, I want to ask you this. Back in first semester, we talked about the vertical line test. So we said, is this a function, or if I drew lines and I only crossed once, we're good. But what about this? That doesn't pass the vertical line test. But is it a function? Yeah, is it a function? So since it doesn't pass the vertical line test, I want to know, is it a function? And I'm going to leave you with that question. And tomorrow in class, we're going to start here. We're going to talk about these parabolas in this graph and talk about a test that we can use to determine if that is a function or not. And that'll be part of our quiz and test. Not only will you have to graph the inverse function, but you have to decide, is it a function or not. So we'll start there, and then we'll review for our quiz and riddle, and then we'll be ready to go. Thanks. See you in the morning.